The BREATHE Act also calls for repealing and replacing the 1994 Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Bill that Biden loved to write, but yet they're going to want to repeal it and replace it. What are you going to replace it with? I guess that's the biggest question. Who are you going to have it target if you don't want to have any more mandatory minimums and or life sentences? Who's it going to affect? Definitely some funny shit there, huh? Now, the BREATHE Act also would create a commission to study reparation proposals based on African Americans based on mass criminalization, including the war on drugs and criminalization of prostitution and police violence, border violence, and systematic violations of the United States government treaty obligations to tribal nations. See, that's what throws me through a loop. I won't lie about that. That one throws me through a loop because I don't know, really, when they talk about criminalization of prostitution. What? Come on now, are you... Okay. I guess. Gotta save the hose, right? Crazy that this, I'm telling you, this, if they try to implement this, this is gonna sweep across the nation. It's gonna, you talk about chaos now, chaos about to be stored for life if they put this shit in play. I guarantee it. Now, it goes further. I'm not done. Eliminating surveillance tactics that are disproportionately used to target black and brown Muslim communities, prohibiting predictive policing, racial recognition technologies, drones, and similar tools. Eliminate ankle monitors, smartphone apps, and other tools that help track locations. You want to get rid of ankle monitors? You want to get rid of cameras? You want to get rid of smartphone apps? I can understand the smartphone apps. I'm all for that. But you want to get rid of ankle monitors. See, and this, my thing is I understand that, like, we want to help it make it so non-drug offending criminals don't get locked up in prison, or marijuana crimes don't end up in prison. I know there's certain crimes that we don't want pushed and shoved, putting people into prison. I understand that. I get it. But when you say no ankle monitors, none of that stuff, what about for, like, rapists, child molesters, pedophiles? What about for serial killers? Like, especially for no end-of-life sentences. And life sentences. Come on now. You can be against the death penalty all you want, but you're going to try to say no more life sentences? Especially for some people that actually deserve life fucking sentences? It's fucking nonsense. Now, like I said, it's not done. Calls for removal of all police from schools, plus metal detectors and surveillance equipment would be banned. So you want to get rid of metal detectors, and you want to get rid of surveillance tools, surveillance cameras. Okay, I understand the metal detectors. I've only ever went to 2 schools that had those, and they were a pain in the ass horribly. But it is what it is. Those schools weren't like they were it wasn't like they were housing the best students possible. I'm going to keep it 100. But you want to get rid of cameras? You want to get rid of metal detectors and all the police in the schools. So what happens to the school shooters, or the people that bring guns to school or weapons to school, or the kids that sell dope in school, or the kids that beat the fuck out of other kids in school? What about those? Don't the cameras and metal detectors somewhat stop some of those incidents from happening? You want to take the police out of all the schools. Okay. For what, though? If they're not helping the school, then I understand that. But if they're helping the school, shouldn't you keep them? And shouldn't that be a school-by-school basis? Not a sweeping legislation like this would be? I'm just saying. Public school systems would require to develop a curriculum and social impacts of colonialism, genocide against indigenous people, and slavery. Comprehensive health centers that are culturally competent services for all people, including services related to reproductive health. So they basically mean free abortion. Job program requests to affect mainly black, cis, trans women, formerly locked up people, undocumented people, and disabled people. So you want to have job programs for undocumented people that shouldn't even be in the United States. You want to make more jobs, hire felons that don't hire felons. I don't have a problem with black, cis, or trans women. I don't really give a fuck about that one at all. And I don't care about the disabled one either. Definitely give those people the jobs if that's what they need. If that's what they want, go for it. You got millions of people out here right now that don't want to work. So if they want to work, give them a fucking job. Makes sense to me. Only you're going to try to make it so jobs that don't hire felons are going to have to hire felons. You're going to make it so jobs that can't hire undocumented immigrants because it's against the law are going to have to try to hire them, which is kind of fucked up. Again, you're not putting America first, you're putting everybody else first, and that, of course, that's what Ayanna Pressley and Rashida Tlaib would love to do with their AOC plus 3 bill. You already know that they're like, AOC and Ilhan will already help us pass this shit, so that's 4 votes, ours plus theirs, boom, boom. Like, come on now. Also calls for clean, renewable, zero-emission energy resources. The BREATHE Act is a project by the movement of Black Lives, a coalition of more than 150 organizations. Kohler wants the BREATHE Act, what she calls a landmark civil rights bill. She wants Biden to implement it. She and others are requesting that Biden and Harris pass this bill within the first 100 days. She called it a watershed moment after she was like, we removed the racist from office, after she, of course, had to throw a fucking jab at Trump because they got to make it about Trump. Makes sense, right? Not really. But I guess to them it does. I guess to them it makes all the sense in the world because it doesn't matter if we understand it or if we like it or anything or if we agree with it. If they can pass it, that's what they're going to do. If they can find a way to get it passed, that's what they're going to do. Can't really blame them if that's what they think they're going to be able to do. I mean, Patrisse Cullors and Mary Hooks, both Black Lives Matter founder leaders and a founder. I don't want to mislabel Patrisse. She is the founder. Mary Hooks is a leader. But they both are going to hold the organization to the fire because Biden said, you guys got my back, I got your back. That's literally what he said. So they're going to make him own that tenfold. Can you blame them? No, you can't. Now, another thing that was kind of fucked up, in my opinion, was you got, well, I shouldn't say fucked up, but it is fucked up because you have like I said, you have 150 groups plus that are telling Biden that they want him to do this, that, their thing, right? Well, student loans are not too far behind, believe you me. They want Biden to implement student loan forgiveness because, as NBC News would have you believe, it's racist. The article, I got a lot written down, but Biden, like I said, Biden facing mounting pressure to extend student loan debt relief or forgive thousands of indebted dollars for millions of people who had their loan payments suspended throughout the pandemic. Payments to resume in the new year. It's true. People got a break, but it's supposed to resume at some point. The federal government's going to need their money at some point. Now, relief like this, to me specifically, is idiotic. Personally, as an idiot who has student loan debt theirself. I have student loan debt. I owe student loans. And I'm not asking the government to pay them, or to take the loan that I took from them to pay it back. I'm not asking for that. I knew when I signed up that I was going to end up in debt. I knew that. Along with everybody else that signs up. You're not going in there and they're weaseling you into a debt. You know what you're taking on. You might not understand the totality of it. You might not understand how high the interest rate is or this, that, the other, but you understand full well that you're taking on debt. You know you're taking on a debt. So to act surprised by that is nonsensical. To cry about that is nonsensical. It's idiotic to me. Not to mention, they're talking about student loan forgiveness. What about all the students that paid off their debt? What about the students that never paid any of their debt? What about the students that paid half of the debt? What about the students that are one payment in? Like, come on, you gonna write off all that too, or no? They don't get a break because they paid it off. They're a sucker. Like, come on now. You're not that's not fucking fair. And for NBC to try to make it sound like it's racial, it's kind of fucked up. Now, NBC News would love its readers to believe that black students have to take on more loans, forced to take on higher debt loads to afford college. Affirmative action, I would believe, would disagree with this, because black people are able to use affirmative action to get into better schools, to get into school. It doesn't help Asians, but it helps black people and brown people and Muslim people. Because I'm assuming that's the community as Ayanna Pressley and Rashida Tlaib would have it in their Breathe Act. I'm assuming. I'm just trying to use their words against them here. Now, student loan debt hit a new record with $1.6 trillion among 45 million borrowers in February, and has only increased since the pandemic. Biden pandered to an education plan for education beyond the high school during the campaign to forgive some student debt. Has recently gained notoriety, as many have called for a complete forgiveness of all such debt. They don't want just a little bit. They want him to clear it all. Bye-bye. See ya. Give him an inch to take a mile. Isn't that the same? Give somebody an inch to take a mile. More than 86% of black students take out federal loans, compared to 60% of white students. That's why I'm saying NBC is trying to make this racist. Not simple. It's just that simple to me. The media loves to push the dividing line, which is racism. Student loan debts suck, period. But as an adult, we are aware that we take the debt, like I said. We took it out when we were signing that dotted line. I'm never going to recommend anybody go to college. I would say go get a trade. Go to trade school. Get that actual money, because that's true job security. Being a plumber, electrician, a carpenter, those jobs are always going to be needed. People are always going to need you to fix their toilet, fix their bath. They always going to need the electricity. They always going to need new cabinets. That's facts. They're going to need new doors. That's facts. Like, come on now. Trades is where it's at. That's what the schools should be preaching. They shouldn't be preaching college. Especially if they're going to try to preach student loan forgiveness. Because it's only going to help so many people, if it helps anybody truly at all. Let's keep it 1,000. Now, 86% of black students compared to 60% of white students. As I said, that's what the rates are. Growing up, schools wanted black kids to go to college. Teachers pushed college en masse to all of us throughout my school. But I remember, in particularly teachers did particularly push college to black students. I remember that. It's just anecdotal, but it happened. But I remember them saying that you got to go to college. I remember hearing that every year I was in school from every teacher, multiple times a year. And yet, now they're going to call for student loan forgiveness after they pushed it? Kind of shocking to me. But they were preaching how badly we needed to get extremely far in life, this, that, the other. But a lot of the people that I know that went to college ended up with liberal arts degrees or degrees that really didn't do anything. I worked with a dude at a Chipotle that had an architecture degree. But that you weren't building buildings while we were making burritos, homie. That's facts. So you went to school, went $150,000 in debt plus whatever it is, and you make the same wage as I do making the same food. Come on now. He knew what he was signing up for when he signed that dotted line. Now, is it his fault that his career didn't pan out the way he wanted? I can't say it is. I can't say it isn't. But I can't imagine that when schools are telling you to go to college for those degrees, go get a degree, it's going to help you go further, and it doesn't help you. I don't know why you would continue to push it, but I definitely am not saying that anybody should get free college, or they should get their loans forgiven or any of that stuff, because I know it's not going to help the kids that already paid it all off. I'm not dumb. And I want to point out a few things for the 86% and 60%. Now, we know this. Asians and white students don't get to use affirmative